4th of July. Just know that the microphones in the ceiling are really pick up side conversations. So if you need to have a side conversation or you're on the phone, unless you want it to be on YouTube, you might want to step out of the room. So thanks for joining us. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Commissioner Vera. Here. Commissioner Jones. Present. Commissioner Gosar also here. If you would stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd appreciate it, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, a public hearing. So we'll open up the public hearing first to the room for the Casper Aquifer Protection Plan update. So if you'd like to make a public comment, 3 minutes, please just state your name. And if you're not from Albany County, just let us know where you're from. But if you're from Albany County, you don't need to say that at all. So first in the room, anybody want to make a public comment on Casper Aquifer Protection Plan? All right, how about online? Anybody like to make a comment online? You can just unmute, you can raise your hand, you can just start talking when it's unmuted. All right, last call. In person and online. Commissioners, entertain a motion to close that public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say sign. That motion carries. 4, comments from the public. If you'd like to make a public comment, please, we'll go to the room first, 3 minutes. Same rules. Public comment. All right, how about online? Public comments online. Last call in person and online. I'd entertain a motion to close the public comments, please.
I so move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that all is in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 5, disclosures. Commissioner Jones, any disclosures today?
Nope.
Commissioner Rivera, any disclosures?
I haven't.
I've done for me also. 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Sheriff, good morning.
Good morning. Changes in the agenda. If we could remove number 18 from the agenda today.
Yeah. Cool. Any other changes to the agenda? Should I entertain a motion for the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as amended. Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That moves us down to item 8 on the second page of the agenda. Introduction of Brent Lyman, WYDOT Commissioner for Albany County. Brent, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I won't take up too much of your time. I know you have a lot of important things to do.
Well, you're important.
Yeah.
I just wanted to travel over today and introduce myself to the commission. I'm not sure how much you know about the Wyoming Transportation Commission. Well, first let me introduce myself. My name is Brent Lyman. I actually reside in Sweetwater County in Rock Springs. In early April, I was appointed by Governor Gordon as the District 2 Transportation District 2 Commissioner. District 2 covers Sweetwater, Carbon, and Albany counties. So that's my district. I have a big area. I have about 280 miles of I-80 to deal with. So, and I was told we had some issues out there this winter. So we're working on those. So a little bit about the Transportation Commission, what it is. The best way to describe it is the commission is 7 members from across the state. And basically it's kind of like the county commissioners for the entire WYDOT. We're in charge of adopting their rules and regulations, overseeing their policy, the approval of their department budgets, award for contracts on the transportation system and other things that YDOT does. And then basically any contract that uses funds from the state highway fund. And so that's in general what the commission does. YDOT is a very vast agency. I think a lot of people don't realize how massive YDOT is and how much it touches everything you do every day. Right now, YDOT has about 1,750 employees statewide. And their current, for this fiscal year, their budget is about $946 million. There, of course, everyone, is pretty aware of the planning and design, and then construction of highways and also the maintenance that we see going on. But they're also tasked with the Wyoming Highway Patrol is part of YDOT. The port of entries are a part of YDOT. What we call driver services, which are driver's licenses, registrations, and also license plates. They also oversee aeronautics for the entire state, so all of our airports and air service. What is generally referred to as WyoLink, which is the emergency radio system that goes statewide, that all of the various agencies and different law enforcement agencies use. They also have all of their facilities. If you think of all the shops and different facilities that we have throughout the state, and then also just all the vehicles and equipment that YDOT has to complete their mission. So it's very, very broad what they do. And so why you should care about the Transportation Commission is basically, YDOT works with counties and local jurisdictions and municipalities to complete their mission for transportation. And basically, I am your representative to YDOT to make sure that Albany County and your people, my constituents, your constituents, are being heard in any of those processes. So one thing that's coming up, and I know the meeting scheduled towards the end of this month with both your commission and the city of Laramie, I believe, and I'll be there via Zoom for that one, is the State Transportation Improvement Plan, or the STIP, which is basically a 6-year program where we start looking at projects that are going to be coming up, and projects will move in the STIP as sometimes funding, or if something becomes more of a priority, they may move around. We also have some other programs. One that I think that I've been trying to get the word out to my counties is the Commission Road Improvement Program, which is a program where the Transportation Commission awards money to partner with counties for projects that they have. We have approximately $3 million per year in that program. And the projects that you bring up must be eligible for federal funding. So because a lot of YDOT's dollars are federal dollars, almost everything needs to be eligible for federal dollars. We also have the Industrial Road Program, which helps counties construct roads to serve industries. So if you have an industry or a new industry that's coming in that may be of interest to you, there's about $2 million per fiscal year in that, and that program is supplemental. So it can't be the only source of funding. There has to be other funding too. So I'm sure that you're dealing with this same issue with any of your maintenance county roads. Prices are just always up, and YDOT is no different. A few years ago, we were looking at hot plant mix per ton of about $40 to $45. Today we're 65 to 75. We were seeing mobilization costs of less than 10%. Now we're 12. Traffic control was 3 to 5%. Today we're 6 to 10. Fencing was $2 to $3 a linear foot. Now we're as much as $5. And it just goes on and on. Steel is up, concrete's up, everything is up. So we see these prices increasing, but we're not seeing the fuel tax dollars increasing, right? They're either flat or even down a little bit, which may become more of an issue as we see more and more electrical vehicles until we get the legislation, or the legislature gets the legislation sorted out to deal with the electric vehicles fairly for our transportation system nationwide. It's not just a Wyoming problem. This is a federal issue. So where I'm going with this is that as less dollars become available, there has to be more prioritization for the projects that WYDOT does. And so part of my job is to make sure that Albany County, as one of my counties, that the projects that are important to you, that we're letting WYDOT know. And of course, you're brought into the STIP process, like I alluded to with the meeting later this month. But I'm always available to help with any of those things. If there are projects that are important to Albany County and we need to get that word to WYDOT, I can certainly, that's part of what I'm here for. The other thing is that I act as the general liaison for any resident of Albany County. They're all my constituents. So if there's any issue that they're having with WYDOT, be it planning, access, whatever it may be, I can also help with that as well. So I just wanted to make you aware that I'm here. I'm a resource for you. I have some cards. I can leave them wherever you'd like me to. And please get a hold of me anytime there's something that I can help you with WYDOT. And really that's all I had. I'm happy to try to answer any questions that you may have. I'm still pretty new, so I can't promise I have all the information. If I don't, I'll certainly get it for you.
Thank you, Brian. It's nice to meet you. If there's anything.
If you just leave your cards with Caleb, we'll.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, just fun fact, I was a pilot for the state for about 10 years. And so you guys were one of our consistent flyers.
Yeah.
So you'll get used to the state planes because you guys move around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just one quick question. I drive electric and I get a $250 charge every time I register my vehicle. What does that go for if it doesn't go to offset the fuel tax?
So Commissioner Gosar, that's a great question. And I don't know the actual breakdown of those costs, but a portion of that is to offset those fuel costs. The issue that we're facing is that, just that one registration fee doesn't necessarily offset the entire amount of fuel tax that you may pay. And I mean, every case is different. So, that's the issue. So if we look at things overall, we're projecting a decrease in those federal dollars. And the thing to remember with the fuel taxes is that the fuel tax money that WYDOT receives isn't just from Wyoming. There is a federal portion. So this isn't necessarily just a local issue with the registration with WYDOT. I know legislature, the transportation committee, their joint committee, they have started to have discussions with this to see, what Wyoming can do, but really it's a national issue too. So at some point, the federal, agencies and government are also going to have to, come to consensus on something for this.
Well, thank you. I think that's not well understood.
Sure.
And I think people think that the electric vehicles just drive for free, and that's just not the case. I bet WYDOT makes hop like a bandit with my 250. They don't put that many miles on, so but that's fine. Anything else you'd like to share with Grant? It's so nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
No, thank you for having me. I really don't have anything, but like I say, I'm more than happy. I'll leave my cards, and any questions that come up or comments, please feel free to get a hold of me. If they think of anything I can answer or help with, that's what I'm here for. So
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you on the 25th via Zoom.
yeah, absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Introducing yourself.
Item 9, present for approval, acceptance of donation from the Rotary Club in the amount of $440 for activities related to suicide prevention amongst Albany County first responders. Is Murray on the line? Well, just to give a little background, the Rotary Club reached out and said we did some fundraising, and of that, we'd like to know how to give the money to the first responders for mental health. And so Tracy Fletcher, the treasurer, worked with me and said, probably the best way is to bring it up in a meeting. Maybe bring some awareness to the issue. And then maybe we'll have some other people feel like this is a noble cause, and we can set up a fund and start to take more than the $440, which is super wonderful. And thank you, the Rotary Club, and thank you, Murray, for bringing it to my attention. That is what I know about it. Does anybody have anything else to add to that? Okay. I would.
I move that we approve the acceptance of the donation from the Rotary Club in the amount of $440 to be specifically, to be put specifically to suicide prevention amongst Albany County first responders.
A second?
Moved and seconded. Any further questions? No further conversation. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Murray. Thank you to the Rotary Club, and hopefully this one will grow. 10, present for consideration the proposed update of a Casper Aquifer Protection Plan. Dave, good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just to give a little background on this project, an intergovernmental agreement was created by the Board of County Commissioners and the City Council a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. The direction from this committee was to create collaboratively collaboratively adopt a joint Casper Aquifer Protection Plan. Currently, the city has a Casper Aquifer Protection Plan, and the county has a Casper Aquifer Protection Plan. Both are a little bit different, a lot of similarities as well. And so, in December 2021, the Stantec Consulting was chosen to assist us with this project. And their scope was to compare and review the city and county's protection plans, address the western boundary of the aquifer protection area, site-specific investigations, criteria, and other areas identified by the consultant. They were to update and consolidate the city and county's aquifer protection plans into one document, review pertinent documents, studies, and data collected since 2008, and update the plan with the relevant information from those studies and reports, and then provide policy recommendations and propose regulatory amendments to increase protection of the aquifer. In addition, part of the project was included public engagement. Early on in the project, June and July of 2022, there was 3 small group meetings that were held to kind of like focus groups. There were specific groups that were targeted to get information from. One of those groups was the Albany County Clean Waters Advocate, which is a local interest group with a mission to protect the aquifer. There's a group of technical experts, mostly engineers and geologists, that was put together. And then there was members of the CAP network, which is a landowner groups east of town, mostly within the Casper Aquifer Protection Area, basically the homeowners up there. So we met with those three groups. And during the fall of 2022, There were 3 public meetings that were held, 2 in September and 1 in October to get public input on the process and what's been going on. In addition to those opportunities, Planning and Zoning Commission, the Laramie Planning Commission, and the Environmental Advisory Committee held 3 different joint meetings, one late 2022, just a kind of an introductory meeting, informational meeting, a meeting in September of 2022 that was an opportunity for these groups to ask questions of the consultant and of the project and how the plan was being updated and what was going on there. And then they also met in the end of November. During this meeting, it was determined that a small technical review committee would be created to review the plan and provide some additional information to Stantec. This group was created, and there was multiple meetings during December where this group reviewed what Stantec was proposing. They provided some information back to Stantec, and Stantec updated the plan accordingly. So once they returned the plan and made those updates, this version included these recommendations from the technical group. Then Planning and Zoning reviewed version 5 on March 15th. Amendments were made by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The plan was ultimately approved and published for a public hearing before them that was scheduled for April 26th. They received some additional comments from folks, and so they took a little bit more time, brought that back, made some non-substantial changes, brought it back to Planning and Zoning Commission at their May 10th meeting. At that point, they approved the plan or recommended or certified their recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. And now it's before you for a public hearing, which we held, and then make a decision. Also note that the plan went to the Laramie Planning Commission and was approved at their May 22nd meeting, and it will be on for public hearing in the City Council tonight. Planning and Zoning Commission ultimately recommended approval of the update to the Casper Aquifer Protection Plan. And yeah, so it's before you to make a determination. I think the objectives that were set forth originally in the RFP and what came out of the intergovernmental committee have all been met. And they provided an update for your review and a determination. So.
Before we get any questions of David, let me bring in Mark Stacy from Stantec.
Yes.
Mark, good morning. How are you? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the work. Could you just kind of give us a background on the expertise of your organization and what you've done along these lines, like we've asked you to do here, and some of the data that maybe you brought in that didn't exist before, and anything else you'd like to bring into this? It's a long process, Mark, so thank you so much.
Well, I don't want to take on warning either, so
yeah.
So I'm a hydrogeologist with Stantec, and really we brought in a lot of data. There's been a lot of data that's been acquired since 2008, 2011, including wastewater studies, geologic logs, a lot of water well information that's been acquired over the last 15 years. And that was all brought to bear on the questions of current boundaries and how we should amend them, what we should do with them. One particular expertise that we brought in, aside from hydrogeology, was our expertise on wastewater, and particularly with regard to the nitrate issues. And we thought, those are obviously issues with the rural subdivisions, and we tried to strike as well as we could a good balance, recognizing current conditions, along with known issues related to septic systems, and looked at, I think one of the things that we significantly brought into this was a recognition of how other states, principally Idaho, Montana, Colorado, have been looking at it and dealing with septic systems in similar scenarios where you have septic systems that discharge to waters, aquifers are actually being used for drinking water. And recognizing that, ultimately, purpose of the plan is protection. We recognize the city, most residents, the city's got great water. We want to make sure that continues into the future. But there are definitely some areas where residents have noticed, the influence of septic systems because of the concentrations. And, historically, 2009, 2010, there were some indications that concentrations of nitrate, some of those domestic wells are over 10 milligrams per liter, which obviously is above drinking water standards. Drinking water is obviously not private water wells are not regulated the same way that public drinking water supplies are. Yet at the same time, recognize that there's some issues resulting from that need to be addressed. So, one of the ways that we looked at is to say, is this a problem right now? Is this something where we need to take immediate action? And our conclusion was no, it is a problem. It's not something that needs to be dealt with immediately. But we do recognize, given the contaminants and the issues that are happening there, that it makes sense on a progressive basis as we go forward to deal with it appropriately. In other words, when these septic systems and, on lots that are less than 35 acres start to fail, it's wise to, look at replacing them with systems that better handle, better treat that water, such that, the water that's being put back from the leach fields winds up going back in an improved condition than it was before with the previous septic system. So that's, a very big broad brush of, the expertise we brought and some of the concepts and thoughts we brought to it. I will mention one other thing, particularly in the western boundary, is the change with trying to move more toward property boundaries. And using property boundaries west of what we deem to be the protective Satanka shale thickness line as a principal means of administering that western boundary to facilitate or to help both developers, property owners, everybody really understand what are the boundaries that we should really be concerned about and how should we deal with them. Should they be part of the protection area or not? So property boundaries are largely used. There are still some places where section lines are still had to be used, because if we'd used the property line, it would have expanded the area farther west, and that really wasn't our intent. Our intent was to try and best fit as we could to what we thought was protective on that western boundary, based on all the drilling data that we had. So that's where we are, and I think we've worked pretty hard with the planning boards on a lot of comments that they had, a lot of good comments that they had, to make this a document that will serve well the community going forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thanks for the overview. Commissioners, any questions for David or Mark? Well, I just have to tell you, Mark, thank you so much for the comprehensiveness of the report. I've learned a great deal about septic systems and hydrogeology. And I'm not going to pass any tests or courses on it, however, but I really do appreciate bringing in the data. 15 years of additional data was fantastic. I feel that we've gotten a good plan. Of course, it'll be a living document, and as more data comes in, we can further refine those things that need to be refined. Year and a half, long time. Thank you for being willing to work with the public so many different ways, not only the general public reaching out to organizations that have interests, but also the planning and zoning of both the city and the county and the EAC multiple times. So that was really, I think it's an important process. I think it was a arduous process, but I think something like this really needs to be. And so I do appreciate you guys' attention to that. So with that, I don't have any other questions other than to say thank you. I didn't understand that you had brought in information from Idaho, Montana, Colorado about septic systems and the way forward and discharge over something similar to ours. That's another piece of information that's useful. So I'm going to share with people who ask me, was this a broad look at things? And I think really a broad look at things. So thank you so much. Anybody else in the public have any idea or want to say anything about the Casper Aquifer Protection Plan update? Yeah, David, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I failed to note, well, that Mark was on the line, but also Derek Taney from the city was here, his planning manager. Darren Parkin was kind of preceded him as the project manager and spent a lot of time on that, and Derek's inherited that, but he's the kind of the co-manager. So if you have any city perspective questions, he's here to answer those. Also, I just wanted to note that there are quite a few planning and zoning commissioners and planning commission members that spend quite a bit of time doing some reviews. These guys are volunteers, so I just, I think we should appreciate the work that they put into it and the time they sacrifice to look into these things and make it a good plan. So that's all.
Derek, Maura or Chris, do you have any comments? I really do appreciate you guys' diligence and hard work and expertise, quite honestly. Thank you so much. Commissioners, entertain a motion for 10 then.
I move that we approve item 10 as presented.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Derek, please.
One subject that the entire world will agree on is that all humans and animals have the right to have clean and safe water. However, over-regulation of the land above and around water, be it surface water or aquifers, without agreed upon science, is government overreach at its finest. The overregulation intentionally hurts, financially rapes landowners of their ability to use their land for its highest and best use. Never has there been a discussion of compensation to landowners whose land you have and are restricting the use of. If this was your land, you would be screaming bloody murder, but it's not your family members that are paying the price for this overregulation. Overregulation robs families of college educations without debt, elder care without loss of personal homes, and retirement funds. Intentional overregulation does tremendous damage to all areas of our community. The Wyoming Business Council contracted with Harvard to look at what we can do to encourage businesses to come to Wyoming. One of the things they found is Wyoming is overregulated in many areas, and it seems to be intentional. These additional regulations are not about protecting water, but giving county and city governments more power and control over the people.
Thanks, Terry. And I would just like to add that for private rights and community resources come in common, and there's always some give and take. And clean water, I can think of no better place than to have some sort of mitigation about that. We know that if there were no impact on that water, it'd be around 2 milligrams per liter. It's in places 6, and we heard Mr. Stacy talk about 9 and 10 above the safe water drinking standard. Our job as commissioners is safety and protection of citizens in this county. It is too late when everybody's well is above 9 and 10. And then we have a much bigger discussion about what tax we will put to remediate the water. And those remediations facilities, as I'm understanding, are not in the millions of dollars, but in the tens of millions of dollars. And so a pound of prevention or an ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure. We have tried to strike the balance here. I don't know that anybody has lost anything than what they purchased over that land. Their land is exactly the way it was purchased. Now, maybe they cannot do what they intended to do in the future. That's not what government's for. Government is not to help the dreams of other people, we have to know what they're going to do. And so I do appreciate it. Terry, I understand your point of view. We just disagreed. And I think this is a really important issue, and one that not only affects the county residents that live over that aquifer, but the city residents. So some 80 to 90% of the county is impacted by that water. And if we can't keep it clean, what's the point? So a wonderful resource. We are blessed with an amazing resource, but it also is fragile in many places that we understand with science. So thank you all. And been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign, please.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you all for the Casper Aquifer. Derek, thank you for you and your staff. David, thank you for your staff and both the commissioners in the back end and the commissioners at the city and the county who work so diligently along with the EAC to get this across the line. Mark, thank you so much for your report, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you as we go forward with it. Awesome. Item 11. Present for consideration the 2023 Urban System Project Priority List and amendments to the Major Street Plan. David, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the Urban Systems Advisory Committee recently reviewed the Major Street Plan and the Urban Systems Project Priority List, and they approved amendments to the Major Street Plan. So they removed some of the proposed collectors, arterials that are in the east of town, basically. It's all in the city limits right now. There was a road that connects with roads. One of the roads connects down with Boulder Drive. It connects all the way and it goes up and it'll connect over with the road that's
Kind of like Crow,
anyways, what's that?
like Crow, the road that connects basically to Crow.
Yes, yeah, the road that goes up the Crow and then the road that's in front of the golf course. Drawing a blank.
Sounds like it's some crazy people.
No. Will it?
Will it?
Yeah, sorry. So they removed the proposed roads that were there from this plan. And then also there was a road that goes straight north. It's kind of on the northeast portion of the city into, and this is all just like projected roads, but they moved that road, extends Inca Drive to the northernmost proposed collector on the Major Street Plan that exists. So those are the changes that they've made and ask for amendment. And then the major or the priority grid list or whatever, one of the things that this group has to do is they have to approve the list every year annually. And nothing, well, the one thing they removed was the same roads, basically. There was one of the roads on there was one of the roads was one of the roads that was in that area they removed from the map. So they just removed that from the project priority list. The first 2, 3, I think were all I think it's pretty much the same, other than they removed that road. So the Planning and Zoning Commission ultimately reviewed this and recommended approval. We're just bringing it to you for your approval as well.
Thank you, David. Commissioners, any questions? David, with this list, what is the likelihood of, this is due to federal funding in addition, is that correct?
Yeah.
So 4.2 for the number one priority in 2016 dollars, as we heard from Mr. Lyman, probably more like 8.4 today.
Yeah.
What are the thoughts about any idea when?
So yeah, this list is, the number one is the only one that's actually, may happen, right? And we're actually getting to the point where we've collected, quite a bit for that, but again, it's probably gonna be more expensive than the 2016 numbers, so.
And
So-
what was, I don't remember what the number one was.
This is Corthell Road from Whitman Street to future Bill Nye, and Bill
Okay.
Nye from, it's basically
Yeah,
the
'cause I
Bill
knew
Nye that
Bill-
goes all the
Bill
way
Nye was
across and
involved.
connecting everything, yeah. So once that gets approved, then they'll start looking at these other ones, but, I mean, it's approved, but it's like, once we collect the money to accomplish that project, then they can move on to the next one. But anything on this list, other than that number one, is you're probably looking a decade before we were able to do it.
And even this number
Potentially.
one priority date, we've been talking about this for a couple of years, more than a couple of years.
More than a couple of
Well, at
years,
least since I-
yeah,
It's been priority number one.
a long time, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, when we're getting just a smidgen of money every year, I mean, which we're appreciative of, it's still gonna take a long time to get these projects done, and really 2 through whatever, 5, 4 or 5, whatever we have on there, they're always just kind of hopping around but it really doesn't mean anything until you get number one and you start collecting money for that project, so.
Yeah. Commissioners, any other questions? Entertain a motion for 11 then, please.
So we provide what is presented.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Dave. Present for consideration, item 12, the renewal of the 2023 mobile home park licenses for Coronado Mobile Home Park, Country Meadow Estates, Flying X Ranch, Keene Mobile Home Park, Laramie Mobile Home Park, Peterson Mobile Home Park, Lunatic Place, 60 Last Mobile Home Park, Troutman Mobile Home Park. Joe, good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Yeah, so we've inspected all of these parks, gotten fees and applications, everything we need from them. And we are recommending them for renewal. I actually did receive one more after I had to have the memo in, but before the deadline. And that's Blue Sky, so I would also ask for that one as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Commissioners, any questions?
Joe, are any of these mobile parks that we've had some issues with or have received some comments from tenants?
I'm not sure. Do you know what parks we've been talking to the public about?
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything for a while, so not to my knowledge.
And if you guys have received comments, I mean, from folks, I don't know if we received them as well, so.
Well, I have, and it's been really troubling to me to watch people's rents go up 50, 100%. Trailer courts, to have meters being placed under skirting with the threat of removal should they take a look at the water meter. Maintenance utility fees for the first time ever, managers they can't get a hold of. And so this is a place that we're gonna have to look into, and quite honestly, I've been above board and saying, what can we do to make this a fair arrangement? Many people are living on the margins in trailer home parks without resources to address legal issues. And so I'm hopeful that mobile home parks will work kindly and decently and professionally with their tenants. There could be a different day coming should some of this continue. And my hope is that they will have managers on site who can answer people's questions, and that they'll be community-minded organizations. Some of them do not exist in Wyoming. Some of them have bought these trailer carts as outside of state entities. And I want them to treat people in Albany County like they like to be treated. And some of those places that is not happening right now. So it's not for this today, but I just want to put that message out there to those folks. It'd be nice not have to have those comments again in my inbox and in my phone messages and people stop me out the street. Because I take that very seriously, especially when the entities are not Albany County residents. So I entertain a motion for item 12 with the addition of the Blue Sky mobile home trailer park.
I move that we approve item 12 with that addition of the mobile home park, Blue Sky.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Joe. 13, ratify grant application to the Bureau of Justice Assistance 2023 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant to support the purchase of bulletproof vests for the Albany County Sheriff's Office. Brady, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Commissioners. Bailey's on vacation, so I am taking over for today. This application, we have already submitted it. It's one that we go for pretty much every single year. How it works is we order new bulletproof vests for any deputies who are in need of a new one. And through the Bureau of Justice Assistance, they cover 50% of the cost. And the match that the county has put forward is already budgeted in the match count. So I am here to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions? It was interesting to me, listening to Sheriff at the pre-agenda that bulletproof vests expire.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that as a member of the public, but so now I did.
Yeah, I've known that for a long time, and I really miffed on how they can expire unless they've been used. I mean, shot at. Other than that, they should never expire. It's one of those scams.
This just helps offset the cost instead of the
And
county
it's
having to
fantastic. I'm
having
really
to
pleased with this
purchase the
project.
full thing. You
It's the
get,
other game.
you did it at 50%, so.
Yeah, I entertain a motion for item 13 if there are no further
I
questions.
move that we approve item 13 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Brady. Item 14, present for approval, amendment 2 to the commercial lease agreement between the Albany County Board of Commissioners and Disruptive Med Tech LLC. Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So we have a lease agreement with Disruptive MedTech that was entered into in 2020. And there was a first amendment in 2020 also. Part of that lease agreement was that there were rent escalators that were to go into place on July 30 or on July 1st of 2021 and July 1st of 2022. Because of the management that had been handled, we had a split structure at the time. The management of the property was handled by the Laramie Business Alliance, but the rent payments came to the clerk's office and we hadn't reconciled, and neither had DMTI, that rent escalator amount didn't go into effect in either 2021 or 2022. This year, the beginning of June, when Bailey was going through things to get ready for the auditors to come, she noticed that the rent escalation hadn't gone into effect. So I had a meeting with DMTI the middle of the month, in the middle of June. And for the previous rent escalators for 2021 and 2022, their proposal is that they pay that balance that remained unpaid over the course of the next 27 months of the lease, which would add $852.85 per month for 27 months to their lease. So beginning July 1st of this year, just a few days ago, with the rent escalator that occurred on July 1st of this year, the total amount that they will now be paying for the next fiscal year is $6,000. Oh, I wrote down bad numbers. Hold on. I have 2 decimal points in there. That can't quite be right. So their standard rents would, with the prior increase, will now be $6,474.72 a month. And then in July of 24, that amount will increase again, and it didn't add. For an increase, we'll add that same amount back in there. So beginning July 1st of 2024 through the end of their lease term, the amount they would pay would be $7,114.35. And if that solution to pay the additional $852.85 for the remainder of the term of their lease is acceptable to you, I have that lease agreement or that second amendment that I can get printed out and we can have for your signature today. DMTI has agreed to it. If it's something that you would agree to.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Bailey, or whoever found.
Bailey did.
Yeah, that's quite a. So, commissioners, any questions?
One other thing, just on a related note, the middle of the month, I believe, DMTI would like to come in and speak with the commission regarding the termination of their lease and their general frustration with having to move and find a new place potentially to continue to operate their business and the issues that proposes for them, and request any support that the commission can offer them as to writing letters of recommendation or anything else they might, just as a heads up.
Okay, fair enough. I'd entertain a motion for 14 if there are no further questions.
And I doubt we approve item 14 is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. That motion carries. Item 15, ratify amended grant application to Wyoming Energy Authority for the local government retrofit in the amount of $50,000 for replacement of lighting in either the Albany County Courthouse or the detention center. Brady, welcome again.
Hello again, and with this one, we are just made an amendment to the application that we were initially going to put in because the Wyoming Energy Authority upped the maximum potential for the grant for the applicants. It was initially at $25,000 with a 10% match, and they doubled it. Not entirely clear why they did, but it is now up to a potential $50,000, same with that 10% match. And that's basically the only change that we have done for it. It's still in the process of getting the auditors from the energy group to come in and look at this building, and I believe the detention center as well, and figure out what is the most effective use for these funds and which project we should move forward with.
That's great.
Brady, do you know if we're on their calendar yet, as far as the audit?
I don't know. I believe that we are in contact with them to start setting up a date for them to come out, but I don't know if that date has been set.
Great. And just a little background, through the energy audit 2 years ago, detention center, a little over 5,000 a month in electricity costs. This building over 4,500 in electricity costs. That's every month. And so this is an opportunity to save some money, save some energy, and with that, we can do some other projects or other positions in the county that have the same plan. So this is, thank you guys for being willing to do that, and I'm super excited they're willing to go to 50,000. And if they just give us the money, that would be great. I entertain a motion for item 15.
I move that we approve item 15 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Brady. Item 16, discuss trimming of the trees on the courthouse grounds. The sheriff, good morning. Floor is yours.
Good morning. This is just a discussion for trimming some of the trees and foliage around the courthouse. Early in June, we had the Wyoming Supreme Court Security Commission come and do essentially a security assessment of our building and the grounds. And one of the recommendations that they had was to trim back the foliage quite a bit for a variety of different security reasons. So a lot of the bushes and stuff have been trimmed. The recommendation on the trees is to essentially trim up from the ground up approximately 6 feet for clear line of sight on a lot of the trees. No, for most of the trees that we already have that. The new trees that were planted don't have any really foliage on them as well. So doesn't require any trimming. But some of the older spruce trees that we have, particularly on the south side, do require some trimming. So quite a bit actually. So I know that this was put on here, so really I'm available for any questions or concerns that you guys have.
Commissioner Shea?
I hate to see them turned down.
Right, yeah. With you, Jerry.
I know it's hard to see that at times. And you know, especially aesthetically when you look at it, but a lot of times for trimming up those trees also helps for the growth of the trees.
Sometimes it
as
does.
Sometimes.
Right now, we're trying to scare the whole world to death. And I have problems with that.
Yeah, so the evergreens that we're looking to trim are well established, and fairly healthy. So like I said, it's
Evergreens are pretty hard to climb up in.
so they are pretty easy to hide things and conceal them.
And we gotta get rid of everything.
I would like to just, like I said, kind of take that middle road where we can go ahead and keep that foliage, but make some changes to it to help us out both respects.
Yeah, and I walked with you and the gentleman from the Supreme Court, and that was his recommendation. There were places to hide, places for people to hide, and things that they didn't. And so it's their call. So it's,
Yeah, so I had already talked with our facility manager, Anthony. And we've already kind of targeted a few places that we wanted to go ahead and trim. So,
And Sheriff, is this something that Anthony can do, or?
yes, it's nothing that we have to hire a contract out, so it's everything that we can.
All you gotta have is a chainsaw and go at
just
it.
an afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit in there
Or
first.
anybody
Yep.
showed up in the daytime.
Awesome. All right, that's 16 and 17. Present for approval, Wyoming Law Enforcement Extraterritorial Assistance Memorandum of Understanding between the University of Wyoming Police Department and Albany County Sheriff's Office.
Right. So this MOU is essentially an update from the same one that we signed in January. There's been a change in leadership at the University of Wyoming Police Department. Chief Sam was retired, and now Chief Holland has taken over per our MOU agreement. We have to renew that agreement whenever there's a change in leadership or an end of term, usually 30 days after the change in leadership. That's why that's on you guys'
Any questions? Any motion for 17? Please.
I move that we approve item 17 as presented.
There's-
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Sure. 18 is gone. 19, present for approval, acceptance of the appointment by Governor Gordon of Kate Allred as the Albany County Emergency Management Coordinator. Aaron.
Yes, I'll be quick because Kate is here as well. The official letter came back from the governor's office to officially appoint Kate Allred as our emergency manager. So she's in and she's official. She's been doing a great job.
Thank you. Kate, if you'd like to say anything, great. If not, that's fine too.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. I entertain a motion for 19 then.
I move that we approve the acceptance of the appointment of Governor Gordon Kate Allred as Albany County Emergency Management Coordinator.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 20, present for approval, closing of the public health office on July 14th, 2023 and August 4th, 2023. Kim,
Good morning.
good morning.
So on July 14th, we are requesting to close in the morning so we, as a group, can get recertified in our CPR. And then on August 4th, that is our second annual festival. And then we, Public Health and WIC, make our Laramie Breastfeeding Coalition, which hosts the event. And then Public Health is there for outreach as well. So it starts we gotta pack up and head over there. So I'm just asking for permission to close on both those days.
I move that we approve item 20 is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank
Thanks, Dan.
you.
21, award the bid to Flaming Tree Solutions LLC for the Albany County Community Wildlife Protection Plan. Chad, good morning.
Commissioners, I was hoping that said wildfire protection. Sorry.
You did. Last time.
Panic was in there.
Well, we will be protecting wildlife, but that's not a direct result of this. So we had this out for bid. We received one bid by the deadline by Flaming Tree Solutions. Because we only received one bid, I kind of did some additional diligence by asking some of my colleagues. Travis Pardue is the Assistant District Forester to review it. I also asked Jeremy McMahon, who's the Central Zone FMO on the Medicine-Bow Route National Forest. They both had a look at it, and we were all kind of in agreement that this proposal would be acceptable to us. So I was hoping that we could award the bid to them, and then we'll move forward with making contracting, get this project on the road.
Chad, any questions from Chad? I think we have to ask the chair to sign the contract.
I think he's gonna bring the contract back to next meeting.
Yes.
So we
Contract
just need
number.
to- Today, we
Just
just would like
award
the
Okay.
award of the bid.
Okay. We don't need to-
I move that we award the bid to Flaming Tree Solutions LLC for the Albany County Community Wildfire Protection Plan and have the chairman sign.
The chairman doesn't have to sign today.
Oh, okay. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. Motion carries. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it. 22, present for approval, application for catering permit for the Wyoming Ribbon Chop House for wedding rehearsal dinner located at the Deerwood Ranch, 599 Wyoming 11, Laramie, Wyoming, on July 14th, 2023. Caitlin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I have a catering permit for Ribbon Chop. Because they are a city liquor license holder, the city has it on their docket for tonight to approve them using their license in the county outside of their limits. So everything's good to go though.
Entertain a motion for 22 then.
I move that we approve item 22 is presented.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 23, present for approval, request for information for an ERP software solution and direct the clerk to advertise. Mr. Monroe, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, commissioners. How are you today?
Thanks.
Good. Yeah, so I've been working with the clerk and treasurer on developing the functional requirements for an RFI, request for information, for an ERP system, which is enterprise resource planning. That's finance and HR payroll for the county. We basically are ready and have a calendar together that spans the next several months where we will issue the RFI. We will evaluate the responses. Obviously, we'll take questions during the RFI process from the vendors. We'll evaluate those. We will then do our due diligence, which would be demonstrations of the products, reference visits, either virtual or on site with other clients that are using the software, and then later in the year move towards an award based on that, or at least get more information if required. Our timeline is set to be, we're going to publish this on the 12th, the RFI, and then we'll take questions until the 24th. And then on the 14th of August, we'll close the RFI and begin our due diligence and reference checks. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions for me, we basically go through this process with a lot of different counties and cities. We actually did the same process, similar process for the city some time ago, and they're now implementing software.
Thanks, Mike. Commissioners, any questions? Mike, I have a question. You have experience in this. If the human resources part becomes an issue with so maybe two programs is better than one with regard to maybe human resources and separating financial. Is that worry? Or have you seen software products that are able to incorporate those pretty seamlessly together?
Yeah, so the counties go back and forth on what's called best in breed software selection versus, completely integrated all under one roof. There's benefits to obviously to both and risks to both. Getting a system that is a best in breed human resources product, we'll need to make sure it integrates with the payroll system, obviously, because those two are tightly integrated, or we'll have to make sure we have a best in breed HR and payroll system that integrates. Ideally, what we'd like to get is one system that can manage all of it, human resources, payroll, and financials, to create less integration. But sometimes timelines and requirements dictate that we go to best in breed, and certainly we would look at that if it made sense.
Does the RFI have that flexibility to maybe look at that, or is that something further down the road, Mike?
Yeah, I think in the RFI, we're just going to ask them generally. We have about 715 questions we ask vendors to get kind of some more information. We'll find out what they do and let the people that use the system evaluate whether it's going to meet their needs, and then we can peel it out if we need to during the contract process or during the selection process later on.
Thank you, Mike. Any other questions? All right, I'd entertain a motion for item 23 then, please.
I move we approve item 23 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. That motion carries. Thank you, Mike. Have a great morning. Appreciate it. 24, acknowledge receipt, resignation letter from Robert Boyd from the 9 Mile Water and Sewer District. It's in the packet. I don't have any further information. And I entertain a motion.
I move that we acknowledge the receipt of the resignation letter from Robert Boyd from the 9 Mile Water and Sewer District.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 25, reappoint Terry Jones, Rob Fisher, and Jory Humbuzat to the Urban System Advisory, Jory, committee for a 2-year term. Entertain a motion for that.
Yeah, I move that we reappoint the 3 individuals to the Urban Systems Advisory Committee for a 2-year term.
I will abstain.
Okay, second. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, please. 1 abstention. That motion carries. 26, approved vouchers for 2023.
Amanda's gonna be bringing them down. I don't know if you want to take a minute,
Yeah.
maybe take a break and then come back and approve them once you guys
Okay.
have looked at them.
Okay. Well, we'll take 5 or maybe 10. And, we'll come back here in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Sorry, no, you're okay.
No.
I thought we were still waiting.
We're all cackling, it's fine.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We'll get to item 26, approve the vouchers for 2023.
I move that we approve vouchers for June 2023.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Seeing no more business before the Albany County Commission on July 5th, 2023. I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all, and we'll see you in 13 days on the 18th of July for the second of the July meeting. Have a great afternoon.